All right, what's up, YouTube? Chrono Knight here, back with another video. And for today's video, I'm going to look at um, how we're going to battle the Blue Flames. Right now, there's been talks about a tier zero format. And so we're going to explore some ways to really combat that. We don't want a tier zero format. And yes, cards can be strong. And I think the fun part about cards being strong is that we can. Um, get creative in our options, right? It kind of spices up things and forces us to deck build in a different way and explore some card options we wouldn't have normally considered. So I think there is some merit to strong cards being there, but we don't want one particular archetype to just dominate everything, right? So with that being said, we're going to look at a Sindell deck profile. But before we jump into the deck itself, I want to break down what the Blue Flames do and how I got to the deck that I build, right? So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of my thought process. Um, all right, so first off, let's look at the Blue Flame cards, right? And what I decided to do is to break down to the audience what the traits are, what the card is weak to, and some potential tech cards. So let's jump right in. All right, so first up, we got Laji. Laji is really the glue to the blue flame combo right now. Let's look at its ability. After this creature attacks and is still on your planet after the attack, add one Galaxy Blue Flame card to your hand. So this guy not only starts the combo, but really keeps it extended and keeps it going. So a Laji plus a Jacra on field equals the Blue Flame loop, right? Because Jacra will shuffle something, getting rid of um, the permanent resource. Laji will swing and bring it right back, and then they rinse and repeat. All right, so let's look at the weakness. So what I've noticed is that it's weak to canceling the attack or battle destruction, right? Because what we want to stop most is the actual search itself. So any cards that will cancel the attack or destroy Laji in the midst of battle are going to be cards we really, really want to lean towards. So Planetary Field, which if you don't know, actually is cancels the attack. And if the attack is canceled, Laji does not get the search. So definitely keep that interaction in mind. Pointer also cancels the attack. So you get points. You get 2 points because they tried to swing and kill you. I'm sorry, swing and hurt you. Um, but the attack will be canceled. Nightmare Matter, which is also an interesting one, and we'll talk about that more shortly. But essentially, when a Sindel creature 5 stars or lower is killed by battle, you can play this card and it'll kill the card that attacked into it, right? And like I said, I'll go more into that. Crimson Grenade. So for the Shias mirror match, if their Laji tries to swing into your Laji, for example, and you play Crimson Grenade, the power and the health will be switched, and Laji from the opponent's side will be destroyed. Temple Traps. For those who are still interested in bringing Giles back into the meta, um, Temple Trap says when you attack a Giles creature that has a one-word name, and there's plenty of options within the planet list of creatures, then it will destroy their creature that attacks. So once again, just focusing on either canceling the attack or battle destruction. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, next up we have Jacra. So Jacra says once per turn, you can return one of your other zone blue flame cards to your galaxy to shuffle one other zone card to its owner's galaxy. Really, really strong removal. And shuffling as opposed to destruction is even particularly strong because it plays around a lot of cards that would much rather be killed to let their abilities pop off. It's in my opinion, I said it's weak to ability reflection. And so the only card that I saw, and I would love for you guys to comment if you come across something different, uh, is super bouncy trampoline, right? Because Jacra is trying to shuffle your creature, and if you do super bouncy trampoline, Jacra will shuffle itself back into the deck, and that could really break the combo. And against an inexperienced player, if they don't know how to keep the loop going, or if they're not prepared for this type of interaction, you could really break their combo, and they could be at a really big disadvantage. Last but not least, the Undying Blue Flame. Once per turn, you can free play one of your killed Shias creatures, which has 10 health. If this card is still on the field at the end of the turn, kill that creature. And so the trait is recursion, reviving the creature, but it's weak to destruction, whether it's in the hand or on the field. Now, really good blue flame players know how to like juggle this card where it's not supposed to be on the field. But there are awkward hands and awkward situations, and I'm saying this from experience, where the blue flame could still be on the field, right? Like you're trying to get things going, so you play the blue flame to bring back Laji. Laji is going to swing and search to get your Jacre in hand, but Laji doesn't interact with the permanent resource. So the permanent resource is still going to be in the field, and Laji is going to have to die at the end of the turn because it says if this card is still zoned, kill that creature. So yes, it will bring back Laji, and Laji can kind of get things going. But if this card is still on the field somehow, it's very vulnerable to things like Crowar Comet. And for those who are interested in bringing Roka back into the meta, then you could consider Eye of Evilness. Because if they're doing the combo correctly and they get the blue flame back into their hand, on your turn, you know that card's in their hand and you can take advantage of that um, using Roka interactions. Now, I think it's a little bit, I'm not sure how the different interactions will work with that as far as like do you have to wait till they reveal it off of Roka and then wait another turn? If that case, it does get a little bit weaker. Um, but for my Roka enthusiasts, maybe this is something to consider if you're worried about blue flames, how you can make Eye of Evilness work. But yeah, that's pretty much it for breaking down the cards. Now let's get into the deck profile. Okay, here we go. This is my anti-blue flame Sindell deck. I built this deck keeping most of the essence of Sindell tempo, but kind of changing a little bit of the play style in order to help the deck survive and still thrive, right? And we wanted to keep it at 34 cards as well. So let's jump right in. I think a good place to start would be with the tech at the bottom, and then kind of explaining why I did the creature lineup. So for Cell Sign, um, what I think is interesting in Sindel versus a Shias matchup is that you have a little bit of an economic edge with the fact that every time your Sindel creature is killed, you get an extra star. And I think that extra star over time really builds up if you think about like trading back and forth once per turn. Um, and for sale sign could be really useful in this deck where it's actually removing a card that your opponent would rather have destroyed, but put them in a position where they also have to spend more stars just to get that ideal creature back, right? And usually your target would be Laji or Jacra. And as I've said in other videos, Shias, if they don't tech properly in their own deck, they can run into a lot of economic problems. Next up, Phantom Matter. Phantom Matter can be really useful to just for one turn, just steal one of the blue flames out of their deck, um, just to kind of disrupt some combos, but also give you an opportunity to swing, right? Because don't forget that Jacre does hit you for 4 points. Um, and so, in combination of like the damage that you're already building up, this could put you in a position to either lethal or get ahead in points. Time Flash Portal. As I said in my staple slash tech tier list, I think Time Flash Portal is a really um, very, very popular, I won't say popular, a very strong way of getting removal compared to other popular options, right? Spot removal and canceling the ability is keeping cards out of the grave um, and removing them so that you can swing for damage, right? And if you remember from Sindel combos, you want Ghast and Queen to swing for 6. And what we're trying to do is keep on pace with the Blue Flame combo that also swings for 6. And I think Time Flash Portal could be very useful for that. Double Bone Ladder because we run enough Sindel creatures, and we want to, like I said, keep on pace because we're trying to disrupt the Blue Flames, but we also want to get our own thing going where we're able to bring cards back and go for some destruction. Not destruction, I'm sorry, go for points. Galaxy Crash because I think particularly against the Shias matchup, any cards that destroy without doing battle takes away from their Shias counter, right? So if they're not using the moon or if they're taking too long to get into the moon, slowing them down from building up that Shias counter can also slow down their draw power. All right, and here's the card that we discussed on the other slide, um, Nightmare Matter. And so this kind of explains why I do have the type of lineup that I do because I picked creatures that were useful but on the most part under 5 stars. And the idea is that we want to stop Laji as much as possible. And so if Laji is trading into our small stuff and we're killing Laji, we're breaking that blue flame combo and also setting up to do our own thing with things like Bone Ladder, for example. Galdor's Box. When this card is played, attach up to 3 of your opponent's kill cards to it. So this works in synergy with Sneak On. Sneak On says when it's played, you can steal any zone from your opponent, move it to your side, and then after it leaves the planet, you move the zone back to their side. Now, the way that this is really cool is because we're kind of hurting their economy a little bit because they're going to have to spend stars to get their resource zone back. Because if we steal it and then we put our own permanent resource in it, then they're not able to utilize that zone. So we're blocking a zone, trying to snatch the blue flames out of their grave, and also hurt their economy all at one time. And I think this combination is really underrated. Sneakon plus Galdor's Box. And to other strong players who are watching this, yes, it's in the main deck. This is for not only data purposes, but I'm trying to build it to win game one. And Galdor's Box also has utility across different matchups. So yes, it's mostly a sideboard card, but for the sake of battling the meta, I'm exploring what it would look like to be in the main deck. All right, Crowart comment is like I said on the other slide. If we catch them in a position where their permanent resource is caught on the field and we have this card in hand, that could be really, really useful for us because it will break the loop and put us in a position where we can keep overwhelming them with pressure. All right, next up, Super Bouncy Trampoline. This card is specifically for Jacra. So when Jacra tries to shuffle your Skelligas, for example, or shuffle your Waku Man because they don't want you to draw, or even Bombbeak sometimes because they don't want you to get your Sindell combo set up, Super Bouncy can be really useful there. Shuffling Jacra back into the deck and making it hard for them to search. And then the last 4 cards, I mean, the last, 4 types of cards are your general staples, AAA, Field, Beast of the Black Hole, and Point Turret. Really, really good cards. Like I said, these two in particular, I'm sorry, all 3 of these have strong interaction against Laji as well, right? Cancel the attack, destruction, cancel the attack. Okay, and then last but not least, let's go into the creatures. Pelfam, because it's just a really good card. I mean, it breaks a lot of Abomination Tomb or Phantom Matter setups, and you can get through 2 creature boards just with this one card sometimes. Dark Spark, I run one of. And I just want to use it to just kind of buffer getting Bone Ladder set up, but also the stats are pretty good. Um, and basically, it's 2 stars, right? Because you're gonna mill 4 to get 4 stars back. I decided to cut into 1 queen because the main interactions that you want to keep your creatures 5 star or below, just so that Nightmare Matter is more live. However, when you do have the opportunity, you kind of time it at the right time to go for Ghast and Queen, where you can hit them for 6 points if you just need that burst damage. Like I said, a little bit of a different play style compared to typical tempo, but still keeps some of the essence of it. Skelipede. So Skelipede, I picked this card not so much for its stats, but because it is a Skelligas target and also a Nightmare target at the same time. So you can bring it back with Skelligas, um, and now you got 2 creatures on board for cheap, and then you can also stop them or counter them with Nightmare Matter at the right time. Now, Mole, I picked Mole as opposed to another Sindel creature because I came across something kind of interesting. And this is kind of weird. I know you're probably looking at this card like, why would you have Utopianon in your deck? um, this is just pure, it's a dual purpose, right? It's a Sindel creature, but it also can hurt their economy a little bit. So let's read the ability. You can cosplay this creature to your opponent's planet by paying their stars. Hmm. And so cutting them by 3 stars, if they're already on a low star count, not only buys you time, but puts you in a position where you're like making their hands awkward and making them in a weird position. Um, and so the synergy is that you make them pay 3 stars to put this on their field. And now Mole has a target as well, because when Mole attacks, in order to get its ability, it has to kill a creature. So sometimes you have Mole in your hand, but their field is empty, right? Because you got Laji who might die from the permanent resource, or um, even if you use TFP or Galaxy Crash, you have a situation where you have Mole in hand and their field is empty. So not only does this help make Mole useful, uh, it combos with our plan of having Sindel creatures that are killed and hurts their economy at the same time. Now, I would love to, obviously do more test games to see how many times that interaction comes up. But I thought that was a pretty interesting tech. So let me know how you feel about that in the comments below. And then rounding it off, we have Bombi, which is one of your starters. You play him, and when he dies, he sends one of these guys to the graveyard, or even Waku, which is cool. Because when Waku is sent to the graveyard, you draw a card if it's from a Sindel creature. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's the deck profile. Don't want to make it too long. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. This is my attempt for making a Sindel deck go against Blue Flames right now, which are really strong. And comment down below if you would like to see some gameplay of this deck. If you think it's complete garbage, if you think it's really cool, would love to hear your feedback. Like I said, this is just a fun opportunity for us to explore what it's like to prevent a tier zero meta. Yeah. And then, it's a different play style. And I'm sure you're maybe thinking, like, what if you play other decks that have some strong creatures and things like that? Then you lean more into the sideboard, right? But we built this deck under the assumption that Blue Flames would be the most popular. And then, yeah, that's what the sideboard is for. You kind of use that to cover some of your weaknesses. But yeah, that's the end of the video. This is Chrono Knight from Chaos Galaxy signing out.